Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings to everyone. I'm Imani Muhammad of Imani's Original Bean Pies, and you're tuned in to another show of conversations over pie. Now, this is the month of December, so we're fasting, but our shows are brought to you by Imani's Original Bean Pies and Fine Foods. As you see our backdrop here, we're located at 2423 East 75th Street. And our number is 773-900-7822. I have a special guest today, so I'm excited because um, this special guest is very near and kin to me. He's actually my son. His name is Akeem Muhammad. He's known as the Aiselife, the artist, and he does a lot of murals throughout Chicago and Chicagoland. But I don't want to bore you with that. I want to bring him in right away so that we can get to it. Assalamu alaikum, Akeem.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
how are you?
Glad to be on. I'm good. I'm good.
But look,
How you doing, Mom?
always proud to see you, so I'm doing well. Yep. So this is an honor. That it's always an honor to have my children, especially I call you all are my YCC alumni, right?
Yep.
Kind of are. You
hmm
already a big boy when you started the daycare, but you were more employee. Like
Yeah, for sure. Since the beginning, since I was little too.
you,
hmm
I think it grew you up and had you prepared for, fatherhood. Right. So, yeah, tell us about. I'm excited. I want to jump right into it. I want to first start. I mean, I already said that you're my son, but let's tell the people a little more about you and who Ace Life is.
well, I'm an artist, entrepreneur, amongst a few things, but mainly right now working on art full time and just trying to get as many murals and as many art pieces all over as I can. Even trying to spread out outside of Chicago eventually, and just see how far I can go.
So you're a
Uh,
mural because we've had other artists, but are you specifically a muralist or do you do more forms of art?
I do murals, canvas art, graphic design. I've done some clothing design here, a lot of that actually, but mostly for like streetwear brands and skateboard brands. Um, and I think the one I'm mostly proud of is the skateboard brand because I just like the culture, that surrounds that. So yeah,
Right.
just multimedia artist for the most part.
Mhm. Right. And I wasn't going to let you go past skateboarding too quick, right? Because I know that's been a passion of yours since you were a young boy. And some of the family still ask me, does he still skateboard? I said, oh, he says skateboard until he can't skateboard anymore. So
Yeah, yeah.
the culture.
I'm sorry, say that again.
A little more about that culture, the skateboarding, the artwork. You've done
Um, Well, skateboarding is really kind of like all encompassing of hip hop, art, community, and a bunch of different things. But food, even, because it all kind of merges when you do like events and state shop events and just anything involving a lot of people is going to, naturally bring more than one aspect of the culture to create one culture. So I think the thing that really, got me started on skateboarding with video games, which I still love. And I think that's mostly people my generation got inspired by like Tony Hawk games and stuff like that. 'Cause we were like 9 years old when that came out. So most of us around that age, 9 years old. So it just kind of stuck and we got introduced to, more. And for me, it was really like seeing the skateboard designs on, the actually artwork that they like to ride on. So that was one of the things that really attracted me to it. And the fact that there was a lot of hip hop music involved and hip hop artists that were kind of starting to exhibit, a little inklings that they like to skateboard and like that community too.
So yeah, I want to go on a short journey where we give people kind of an idea of the type of art that you've been involved with throughout the years. So I know with the skateboarding art, you design the actual skateboards. I've seen
Yeah,
that.
skateboards, shirts. Uh, I think I've done a wheel or two. Yeah, but a lot of the boards and shirts and hoodies, different stuff like that. Even done some murals at skate shops too.
Okay, so you go back as far as like in your, I think, I don't know how old you were when you first your first what
Murals.
not the mural, but your first art class.
Oh,
I remember taking you, but I can't remember.
yeah.
And you were young, like I don't know, you
Yeah,
couldn't.
my earliest one I remember outside of school was going down like 103rd and Western or something like that to the art store that actually had art classes where they would bought the big pieces of paper and have you draw everything you see, which is kind of where I think I got the detail oriented part of my style from, just being introduced to something so like simple but complex at the same time. It's like just sit down and draw what you see. Seems simple, and then you sit there and you're like, oh, there's this, there's that, and then you try to replicate the whole thing.
Well, I had to tell my story, so you
Hmm.
couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. I'm thinking, but
Hmm.
the first class is like you said, it's always to draw. Well, in most cases, to draw the bowl of fruit.
Hmm.
You remember that? So everyone drew the bowl of fruit, but the teacher asked me to come in and look at something. And I'm thinking you were in trouble, right? And
Hmm.
what do you see? And I'm like, I see a bowl of fruit. And I'm like, I see a bowl of fruit. You actually drew the table that the fruit was sitting on.
Yeah.
And that was unique. No one else had done that. But what he wanted to point out was not only did you draw the table, you did it with your hand. So you drew
Hmm.
straight, up and down with your hand, no ruler, no. And so he said, his style, he's an architect.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah.
what in that, and he wanted to show me. So from there, I was taking you to architectural bookstores and all types of
Hmm.
things. So you were able to be in a lot of different programs, which made you learn different things. Remember, the Japanese art. Talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still
Yeah.
pretty into the Japanese style of art and even just live action stuff too. But I think the thing that attracted me to that, other than just it being popular and looking cool, was that in the comic books that they had, it was very architectural heavy, like backgrounds, even like having just shots that are only buildings to tell part of the story, and everything was really technical. So I was like really attracted to that part of it. Even then, I started noticing it in American comics too, even though it was a little like on like the more darker or gothic side, you can say. But it was still like, okay, that looks like Chicago, or that looks like this place and that place, and being able to recognize just the differences and the little details to add that to whatever it is that I might be creating.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about, but I think right now the murals are like the thing, at least from what I'm hearing from people, they're most just in awe of, because you have the ability to taking something that you might draw small on a piece of paper, and then you know create something huge across a full wall. Talk a
Yeah. Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
little about that. That's your genius.
Oh, I think drawing murals. I think the first time I drew something on the wall was in my room, and I got to do. You just let me kind of do my thing and draw whatever I had in my mind on the wall. And then I noticed after that, like always noticed, graffiti and different murals outside, but that was just kind of there. Like, oh, that looks cool. But then it kind of made me start kind of looking into it a little more. Like, oh, people do this and make money, and or people do this for a hobby. And I had already been into like because I love hip hop, just like knowing that people did graffiti and stuff like that. But I wanted it to, do more of like an illustrative style of things. So I just, kind of started looking into people who kind of did that a little more, and that seemed to be more of the muralist rather than the actual graffiti artist. But nowadays, you can see that a lot of that is mixed in together. The graffiti world does a lot of illustrative stuff, even though they still hold on, deeply to the original, bold letters and stuff like that. But now you see people creating new styles nowadays, doing pixelated stuff, 3D stuff, all type of stuff. So that just kind of amazed me, and I wanted to see how they go from such a small drawing sometimes to even something smaller than your hand to something that's on a whole wall. And I think that just kind of where it kind of started.
Mhm. So tell us about some of your projects you're working on, like now, your current project.
So my current project is at a Mexican restaurant of a friend that I went to high school with. They're opening it in like in a few days, I think, and it's kind of like a dedication to his mom. Well, one of the owners is a dedication to his mom, but it's a dedication to all of their families and their cultures of going from Mexico to Chicago. Some of them being first generation and second generation Americans. So, on this one behind me, we want to kind of tell the story of origins of like being on a farm to going to the city to showing the border and some of their military experiences to just kind of showing a thriving, cool looking Chicago skyline to kind of show that, oh, they went from here and here and made it on both sides. So that's
Yeah.
the current project right now that I'm working on.
Okay. Are you able to show us something?
Yeah.
The background looks really pretty. And kind of, if you, I think it's a way you kind of do it though. Yeah, I love the city. So, for example, there we go with those buildings, right?
hmm
A lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I found with doing murals is a lot of people want skylines sometimes. And it's hard to find really stylized versions of skylines unless you're looking at graffiti, but a lot of times it can be repetitive. So what I find is a lot of people lately having to create their own styles of drawing cities for murals. Even though it's not really a that big of a deal, but it is kind of like a thing where you have to figure out how to draw it to make it look unique and like something that you haven't seen before. Because skylines get drawn all the time everywhere, but it's usually more on the simple side and not really on like the illustrative side unless you're really looking for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I like kind of add a little more zazz, like your own style to the buildings. Like we recognize the buildings, but it's a little,
hmm
yeah. So that's good because I mean, how many times can you
Right.
continue?
It's like, yeah, that's the challenge. It's like, how many times can I draw the same thing, but make it look unique to the people that want it?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got anything else? Anything coming up or?
Um, right now, I'm just working on murals and some canvas art that I'll be posting soon and having prints up. Otherwise, might be working on an art show soon with some big artists that I don't want to say too much about it, but we'll see how that goes. It's kind of in the planning stages now. And, I'll be posting about that on my Instagram when it comes up. But
Okay.
right now, yeah, just focusing on commissions and just kind of like challenging myself with speed and how fast I can do things.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing. So let me ask you: do you have people do you look for people to help you with some of the larger projects? Because I've seen you do
Yeah,
up on ladders and
yeah. For that stuff, I usually stuff where I don't have to really go too high. I usually have. I mean, well, I have to go pretty high. I usually have people help me out. Because that'll take a long time sometimes, depending on the detail and how intricate it gets. But it just depends on the mural. Like this one I did alone. It was huge, and it seems like you probably should have somebody helping. But I don't know. I just kind of got in here, did it alone. It took about a week, so that's pretty good for something this size.
yeah. So sorry about that. I had a little interruption. But yeah, so I didn't want to hold you for too long on the show, but I definitely wanted to make you highlight, your great work. I get so many, calls and comments about what people see you doing. I think Instagram must be the most popular, uh,
Yeah, for sure.
though you're on the other ones, but to find you, they go, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, you just go to Instagram. That's at Aiselife, Aiselife, and that's pretty much all across the board. Facebook. I'm not really on X like that, but it's on X. You can find me there. LinkedIn is just my name, Akeem Muhammad. But yeah, Instagram is where I really post everything, post reels, and sometimes on TikTok too, under the same exact name. So yeah, I'll probably be doing more stuff on TikTok. I used to post a lot of time lapses and stuff like that because that's another part of the art form I think that's really interesting to get let people see the process. So I'll be doing more of that type of stuff too. So even though I used to be heavy into it, I just kind of got like lazy with it, but it'll be coming back.
I heard that TikTok may not be around much longer.
We'll see.
I heard,
We'll see. If not, something else will replace it as always.
but I know if someone's really looking to see more of your work, Instagram is the place to go, and we have it on
Yeah,
this at Ace Life.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, Instagram, they can just scroll for a long time and see all the artwork that I posted that I made over the last 8 years now. It's all on Instagram. So like it goes from murals, canvas art, digital stuff, stuff on paper. I was making rugs at one point, and that's all documented on there. So it's a lot of cool stuff to see on there.
well, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're actually working on that project as we're
Yeah.
speaking. Did you, but before you leave, if you got anything else that you'd like to add?
Um, I would say for anyone who's an artist that watches this, or even just this doesn't just apply to art, but just you got to start whenever you find the idea or the motivation to do it. That's how I think I kind of had to. That's how I had to figure out how to, do my thing is just to get the ball going. And you just meet more people, you do more work, people see more things, and that's like it just makes it kind of seamless at some point when you're trying to get projects and things like that or jobs and stuff like that. Because word of mouth is the best. Also, sometimes doing Instagram ads and online ads and stuff like that. But you'll never get to any point unless you start. So when it comes to artists, a lot of artists are afraid to even start or share their art. Sometimes you just got to let go, put it out there, and if you like it, maybe somebody else will like it. But you got to always leave room for improvement and find new ways to change your style and to add this and that. That's why I ended up experimenting with rugs to see if I could even do it. I saw somebody doing it online. That was popular during COVID, like 2020. So I was like, oh, I can do that. It's just like painting, but with a gun. So I
Oh yeah,
started doing that. hmm
yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah.
you just the rugs. That was
Say
pretty
it
creative.
again.
Reminded me of the rugs. That was really
Yeah.
creative. Mhm.
I
So
think the
look,
biggest one I did was like 7 feet. I just jumped out. Then that's big to do for a rug. They're usually 2 or 3 feet, and I like to challenge myself. I think I'm good at not everything, but when I put my mind to something, I'm like, I know I can do it. So the biggest one I did was 7 feet, and that was just fun, fun process to figure
that's
out.
you.
Huh? Yeah, that's bigger than me. Yeah, there's a video on Instagram of me standing on a ladder doing it. So, you know, had to
That might,
figure it out.
that may be the one that, but I saw you on like some more industrial. It wasn't a ladder. It was more. What do you call those things? Where it's
Oh, scaffold.
scaffold. Yeah, I saw you on some.
Yeah, yeah, that's for murals outside mostly, or like sometimes you got to do the crane. I think I only did a crane one time though. That was pretty creepy because it just kind of shakes in the wind. But otherwise, I did like the lifts where you stand on it and you press the button, you go up and down on the wall and go side to side, stuff like that. That's kind of fun.
I guess.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess I do have some tips as well for other artists.
Okay, so you
I'm
don't
more on
wait
the business side of it.
because you're taking over the last question. My last question is always what advice you have for young people, but the advice you gave was phenomenal. Just get started, and now you got some.
hmm
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh yeah. So the other advice I would say for artists is because a lot of people try to figure out stuff about supplies and stuff like that. That's included in the price on everything you do. Supplies, scaffolding, whether it's a big amount or small amount, you got to make sure you include that um, into that price so that you make sure that everything is covered. Because at the beginning, I knew some things, but I'll forget other things. So one time I had to do a scaffolding. I ended up having to add that afterwards. Lucky the customer was understanding and cool because it was a big project, and I was still figuring it out. But everyone, you just have to think about everything on the list that you need: brushes, paint, paper to put down, tarp, whatever, food for the day, um, transportation, helpers, all of that stuff, even clothes that you got to wear, even if it's raggedy clothes, you got to include all of that in your price, your base price. Um, and then you go from there. That's just something that I know myself, a lot of people will ask me, and then they still kind of ask me that. So I'm like, yeah, just include all of that. And then you go. That's how you build your price. It can never be lower than what anywhere near can be anywhere near what you need for supplies. So it has to be supplies times whatever you feel is comfortable as far as that. But that's just one way to calculate it. Another way is obviously doing like per square footage and stuff like that. If you're doing something big like a mural, you know. And then even I find a lot of times you have to go with people's budget too. If it's like a smaller, business is just starting out, you just kind of negotiate your price and always start high. Start high, go low. You never start where it is. You just start high always. That way you can get what you want and what you actually need. What I would really say. But yeah, just simple stuff. It seems simple once you hear it. I think.
Hmm. So you know what? No, it seems simple, but it's not. That to me sounds like a class
Mm-hmm.
because part of a class with Food Lab Chicago where they helped us with pricing, plate pricing, right? We make
Yeah.
meals pricing, and so all
Mm-hmm.
of that because we think about like for me example, I'll just say a bean pie. Well, we got to buy eggs, milk, beans, right? The raw
Mm-hmm.
sugar. So, and we look at, oh, this this is what that would cost. But then we
Yeah.
got labor, we have
Mm-hmm.
kids, right? If
Yeah. Yeah.
we're paying for light gas, right? Hot water
Mm-hmm.
or water, I should say. And so that sounds to me like a course because it could make it easier for someone, especially young
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Especially people just starting out, because then you don't have to really worry. I think if you know that, once you know that, it all becomes just a worry of what the art's going to look like and how you're going to get it from this size to that size. Once you get all the supply stuff out of the way, it shouldn't be an issue. It kind of makes it feel like more fun once you know you got the supplies out of the way instead of having to keep buying stuff, keep adding to the list, and keep traveling here and there. You know, sometimes you will have to. It's just part of the job. I have to go get some more paint, but that's because I use all the paint I got right now. I didn't calculate it right, but it don't matter. Well, Home Depot's right there; they're everywhere. So it's just about getting everything you need for the most part down packed, and then just going from there.
It sounds to me like um, a lot. Oftentimes, people think of an artist as a single person, or almost like a barber or something, a single person. But those are
Yeah,
business. That means that
yeah,
it's a business. Because what I
mm,
heard is a partner with people that you can rent large equipment from. Because I know you
yeah.
don't have full of scaffolds, ladders, and um, rug, the machine that makes the rug. I'm sure you don't have like a warehouse where you just have all that stuff, right? So it
I
sounds
wish.
to me that's part. So
I mean,
that's
that's the goal. That would be the goal if you could to have your stuff stored somewhere. Like you
I
will
know.
end up storing some stuff. Like I got ladders and I got all the basic stuff I need, so when it's time to go out, I can roll out. But yeah, it would be nice to have certain things. But right now, I do have people that I can call. Hey, I need a scaffolding. I need to rent the scaffolding from you. Like private people, they're not necessarily Home Depot, but those places are great too. If you don't want to buy it, if you can't buy that stuff outright, so a lot of that stuff is expensive.
It
But
is that
yeah,
you still end up needing to connect the job, right? Because when you
oh yeah,
have now you need someone that can repair it, right? So now
yeah,
you got someone. or a company that can come out, oh boy, right in the middle of a project, the scaffold won't lift. So here you
Yeah.
go.
Mhm.
That- But my point is that it's a business. And so
Mhm.
you need a general manager just like any other business, right? To make
Yep.
sure that going, um, you know, everything is going as planned for you and kind of easy.
Mhm.
So you don't have to worry about all the little stuff, like you said.
Yeah. And then some
Mm,
people aren't good at talking with people, so you can have or some people aren't good at talking to customers. Let's say that. So you can have somebody that does that for you if you need to, you know,
yep,
or you can just go through the process of learning, like I did, learning what to say, what not to say. I mean, which is good too because it teaches you different things
mhm,
that'll roll over into other aspects of life and other careers that you might do too. As far as negotiating price, negotiating what's needed, pretty much just project leading. It teaches you how to be a project leader. Even if you got people helping, you still have to be the leader of that, you know,
yeah,
that group that's doing it. So yeah.
exactly. And so the way I picture it is like you're growing, you're learning, and then eventually you know what you're looking for as you begin to. Um, so one of the ways that I was taught was through a book called it's by Michael Gerber. It'll come to me the name of it, but it's the author is Michael Gerber, and he was teaching you how to outline, your company as a whole company. But this specific
Hmm.
lady by doing, so she just so happened to have made pies. He put it in like your general, your president, your vice president of products, your vice president of production,
Hmm.
of of everything. And then he put everything in its place and he says, tell me who works those. And she said, me. But it was
Yep.
like about 12 or more different positions. She was working all of them. He said, well, put your name in all of them. Because
Yeah.
as you're doing and you're getting good at everything, you can say, oh, I can get someone to do sales right now. Put somebody in that box. But you know
Right.
what now, right? And this is how we
Mhm.
grow, and so I like to point that out. And that, like I said, that's a whole class. We can go on
Yeah.
for 30 minutes, but I know you got to get back to work. And this is Chicago, and I'm in a room where I am freezing. So if I look like I'm shivering, it's because I'm cold, people.
Sitting
It's like
next to the window. So here too,
out
for
here.
sure. Trying to avoid the outside murals right now.
Right. I'm
I've
not
had
even
them.
feel like, no, I take that back. I don't feel like I'm outside because it's even more cold out there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
So
glad I don't have to paint outside today. That's cool. That's all I care about.
I don't know if you could paint outside today, even if you needed to. The
I've
paint
done
would,
it. I don't want to.
I don't think the paint can hold up, and I know your fingers can't, even with gloves.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard with the gloves even
Yep.
freezing in
So,
because especially I've done one where I was like 20 feet in the air and it was probably November. It wasn't snowing, but it was about to snow. And yeah, that was torture, but I made it happen because the art was cool. I had to do it.
but the story I'm telling you, if I could, I would love to have a show where we just have a few entrepreneurs tell some stories because we have some
Mhm.
stories, don't we?
Yeah, of course. Of
Believe
course.
it.
I've had a bunch of crazy stories of like rushing to do stuff, staying up overnight for multiple nights for some projects. It just comes with the territory of doing anything. Like anything that's entrepreneurial, you're going to put in a lot more time than you expect to even. But it's worth it, especially if you're doing something creative.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And you're doing what you love.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Sometimes you don't love it too, but at the end of the when you get to sit home and you're like, okay, that's done. You're like, all right, I love it. I do like it. I was just in the moment going through it. There's been times where I'm like, man, I absolutely hate this right now. I want to go home and sleep, but it's got to be done. But that's just in the moment. Everybody experiences that.
yeah, I like to say there's pros and cons to everything, but clearly
Yeah.
we don't give up with. I'm talking when I say we, I'm saying that entrepreneur keeps going and don't give up because at the end of the day, it was purposeful, and and we enjoy what we do. Now, once it becomes too much work, that's another story. That's the con
Yeah.
side.
You just have somebody help you, add people to the mix,
Yeah, yeah.
like you were saying earlier. Then you just got that's the point where you have to add people to the mix.
It's time
So
to scale. That's what it means. And
yes,
so thank you, and we look forward to seeing your growth and seeing you scale your brand, Ace Life. Mm-hmm.
thank you. Thank you. And look, I'm looking forward to this podcast blowing up too. Let's keep going. Y'all be interviewing a lot of great people on here, so I'm glad to be a part of that list. Yeah.
Of course, and you of course you are, but you definitely a part of the list. I'm looking forward to you all coming back, and I want to have a lot of the uh, YCC alumni, like a panel of us, maybe a few times,
Mhm.
because it's going to have to be more than one show, where a panel
Yeah.
of us. I mean, you guys are doing, you're doing some great things, and I've been blessed. I give thanks to Allah for blessing me to watch you all grow up, you know,
Mhm.
just see, all of the talent that so many of you all have. So my favorite guest, even though we have, a lot of people, we have a lot of people in store too, but my favorite, of course, is my alumni.
Oh yeah. That's because you got to watch all of us grow up, and see the different phases and like, okay, they like this, and see, what people kind of pivot to and which direction they go is always going to be like, an interesting story to tell.
And you all have some pretty dope stories to tell. So just like
Hmm.
Dilla said, all dope things, all the great things in America started in Chicago. So yeah, we'll
Oh
be
yeah.
able to,
Oh
right?
yeah. And one day we're gonna be taking this international. That's what one of my bucket list is, to go international with it and take some of the Chicago flavor around the world. So, you know, we'll see if that can happen at some point.
Oh, it's going to happen. And that's the importance of us doing things like this and getting the word out and letting people know what's really going on here in Chicago and all the greatness that we have in store. Because, I just have fun, seeing you all and bragging about everybody. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Oh
but
yeah. Oh yeah.
to know you all. And we're going to clip it up and we're going to keep continuing to share it. And it'll always be on YouTube.
Oh yeah. It's history.
Yep. So with that being said, again, have a great day at work, continuing your beautiful mural. And thanks again for coming on Conversations Over Pie.
Thank you. I will. And thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Assalamu alaikum.
Like, so
Thanks again for another show. You all have it. You got a chance to see it. Thanks, Brother Sa, for taking a moment to be able to tune in. I know it's cold out there. We're going to have some warm bean soup for you, my brother. And we have warm bean soup for any of you in Chicago. I know you need it. Go over to Go Green Community Fresh Market on 63rd and Racine, or Southtown Health Foods in Beverly, in Chicago, 2100 West 95th. And we got some great things coming up in store for you. I'm not going to give it away, but I'll let you guys know on the next show. Until then, stay warm if you're in Chicago or anywhere near us. Stay happy, and above all things, be kind, because kindness goes a long way. Assalamu alaikum.